Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. My name is David Colbert. I'm the host. And we have a special guest here today. I'm glad to say we have Mayor Greg Raths. He is the mayor of Mission Viejo in California. He is also a retired colonel from the Marine Corps. He is a family man. He's a politician, and he is also an author. And we'll ask him to tell us a little bit about his book later on. But we're going to go ahead and give you a short history on Mr. Raths. Greg Raths served in the United States Marine Corps, retiring as a colonel in 2004. Raths also served as the chief of staff for the White House Military Office from 1996 to 1999. And as a liaison between the Pentagon and the White House. Raths earned an associate's degree in political science from Saddleback College and a bachelor's degree in business from Arizona State University, and yet another bachelor's degree in political science and history from California State University of Fullerton, and a master's degree in national resource strategy from National Defense University. Raths was elected as a councilman for the city of Mission Viejo in 2014 and is presently mayor of Mission Viejo. And winning the Republican primary in March, he is now the candidate for the Republican Party for the California 45th Congressional District. And we'd like to welcome Greg Raths. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, David. Great to be on your program and giving me some time to talk to your audience.
Yes, I'm pleased to have you here, sir. And I want to say one thing before we get started. I want to thank you for your service to this country as an American patriot. What I want to ask you, I got a few questions to ask you, but I want to ask you, who is Greg Raths?
Well, you kind of defined it there. I'm an American patriot. My father was my hero. My mother was my rock. Big Christian family of 8 children. My father was a decorated World War II bomber pilot over in Europe during the D-Day invasion and the Battle of the Bulge. And I followed in his footsteps when I graduated from Arizona State University. I joined the Marine Corps officer program and became a Marine Corps jet fighter pilot, flying mostly off U.S. aircraft carriers, the most notable, the Midway, the Lexington, the Coral Sea, and the USS Abraham Lincoln. So I spent 30 years on active duty, serving my country, and now I serve my city on the City Council of Mission Viejo, California, which is in South Orange County, California. So I've been a servant and a patriot, and I've followed my footsteps of my father, and my son has done the same. He's a major in the Marine Corps, flying the F-18 himself.
Well, you accomplished so much in your life, it's hard to zero in on where to start questioning, but you are the mayor of Mission Viejo. I'm sure I have that correct, I believe. And the future congressman of the 45th Congressional District. You wrote a book a few years back called The 9 Lives of a Fighter Pilot, the personal story as a American patriot. Before I begin other questions, let me ask you a little bit about that book. Can you tell me anything and where to get it at and all those different things like that?
Absolutely. You can get it on Amazon. It's called 9 Lives, the number 9 Lives of a Fighter Pilot. But one correction, I'm in my second term on City Council in Mission Viejo. We rotate the 5 of us on council, the mayorship. I was actually mayor last year. This year, I'm a city council member. So at this current time, I'm not the mayor, but I sit on the city council. The book was written after I retired. My father, I sat with him in his later years, and I wanted to learn more about his life. And I wasn't able to get much out of him due to the fact of he was very high in age. And so I did not want my life to go undocumented and for my children and grandchildren. So I wrote this book. It's a biography. How I flew the F-4 Phantom, the F-18 Hornet. I came very, very close to death on 8 occasions. And I'm currently in my 9th life, so I'm still here. And it kind of goes over my upbringing with a large Christian family, and it talks about my time in the service. And when I did serve, I did serve 3 years in Washington, D.C. at the White House. I was the Deputy Chief of Staff and later the Chief of Staff of the White House Military Office during the second term of the Clinton administration. My job was to ensure the President, Vice President, senior members of Congress and cabinet members have military support, i.e. we ensure their airplanes are up and ready, their helicopters, Camp David's run by the Navy. As we see currently, the military handles all the presidential medical team. So I oversaw that whole operation. So I go into the book of the 9 lives. I came close. I was almost shot down. I flew in Operation Desert Storm. A couple missiles went at my way, and had some airplane problems when I was flying the Phantom. It caught on fire a couple of times. So I've had a pretty incredible life, and I just shared it in my book, and you can get it on Amazon or anywhere online. It's called 9 Lives of a Fighter Pilot by Colonel Greg Raths, R-A-T-H-S.
Yeah, I did see that. That's kind of where I got the information from. But we're going to move on right now. What do you see as your most important accomplishment so far in your life, public and personal?
Personal, I would say my 3 children, and my wife. We've been married 38 years, been
Wow.
together 40 years. She's been the love of my life, the rock of my life. I've deployed many times overseas, 8 times, gone sometimes 7, 8, 9 months at a time. She would be home taking care of the family. So she put in her, I call myself the colonel, but she's the general of the family.
Yeah,
And,
that's right.
and I'm just so proud of her. And the children have turned out just amazing. We worked so hard to ensure we kept our family intact. My son's a major in the Marine Corps flying F-18s. He actually flew in Operation Iraqi Freedom. He's a decorated aviator. I'm a decorated aviator from Desert Storm, and my father's a decorated aviator from World War II. So there's a legacy in our
A lot
family
of
to
flying.
serve and to fly airplanes. And my twin daughters are teachers. My wife was a teacher for 40 years, and my daughters teach in the city of Irvine in Orange County. And they've started their family, and just so proud of them on their accomplishments. So just bringing up a good, solid family, keeping them out of trouble, keeping them focused on what's important in life. And I attribute a lot of that to my wife, Lucy.
Yes, Lucy, yeah. Well, I don't know. So, in your career, what is your most what's the most important accomplishment
Yeah,
you
my career is when you're an officer, you look to command Marines, and I had the opportunity to have 5 commands. I commanded actually a recruiting station for 3 years in Detroit, Michigan. It's 3 years. They take you out of the cockpit and do with either a billet in the Pentagon or somewhere. And I really worked hard to recruit some really good Marines. I had over 58 recruiters under my command. My most notable command was commanding an F-18 fighter squadron, which includes 12 airplanes, about 20 pilots, and about 200 enlisted personnel that maintained the airplanes and did all the admin. And I did that then when El Toro Air Base was open in Irvine. I took my squadron to the USS Abraham Lincoln, where we took them into combat during Operation Restore Hope and Operation Southern Watch, which is in the Persian Gulf. If you recall, in '93, when the Blackhawks were shot down in Somalia,
Yeah.
we were off the coast of Somalia on the USS Abraham Lincoln, flying combat air support for our Army brothers that were shot down, trying to ensure that we were able to get them back. There was a hostage taken. Chief Warrant Officer Duran, we were able to get him back through our support. So probably the most notable was being a jet fighter squadron commanding officer. And then also my time at the White House was very significant. It really kind of propelled me into getting into politics once I retired from the military, which I just said I'm in the second term of my as a council member and now running for United States Congress.
Yes, well, congratulations. What a wonderful family, and goodness gracious. I mean, I hear your history and the things that you've been through. It's like, man, makes my little life seem so small. But God has me here for a reason as well. I have a
Yes.
couple of degrees myself, but God has placed me in this position so that I can speak with people like you here on CTM News, Christian Time Magazine News. Well, we're going to take a short break right now. You're watching a Black Conservative Voice on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth.
I'm Greg Raths. As a veteran, current council member, local businessman, I know our community. As your congressman, I'll fight to reduce healthcare costs, keep our cities safe, and our communities healthy. Our jobs protected, our economy growing, and our nation defended. Orange County is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, but together we can make it even better.
Vote Greg Raths for Congress.
I'm Greg Raths, and I approve this message.
President Trump made a promise to protect our Social Security and Medicare. He kept that promise, and he always will. Today, Social Security and Medicare are strong, and under President Trump, they will never be cut. President Trump is protecting pre-existing conditions. Prescription drugs are more affordable. The cost of insulin is going down. Under President Trump, our benefits and our health care are safe and secure.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Dr. Melinda Morris supports a strong economy, safe neighborhoods, limited property taxes, and promotes an improved education system. Dr. Melinda Morris wants to improve access and insurance coverage for medical care. Dr. Morris is pro-life and will support right-to-life legislation in Austin. Dr. Morris will remain true to her values when she is elected to office. She is going to Austin to promote life, prosperity, and personal freedom for the constituents of Senate District 13.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, and I'm your host, David Colbert. We are speaking with retired Colonel Greg Raths, who's running for California 45th Congressional District. And I want to ask you another question here, Mr. Raths, I'm sorry. As a member of Congress, what would you bring to the table any different than the incumbent Kate Porter would not?
Well, I'm very concerned with the amount of money that the Congress keeps allocating and appropriating that the government doesn't have. When I was mayor last year of the city of Mission Viejo, I'm a tight fiscal conservative. I'm a fiscal hawk. We actually have about a $60 million budget that we brought in, but we only spent $54 million. We had actually a $6 million budget surplus, and we put that into a rainy day fund, which it currently has about 30 million in it, and we use it for times such as this. With COVID going on in our city, in our country, the tax revenue is not generating because a lot of businesses are holding back or only at 50%. So now we have that reserve to use to maintain our police, our fire, maintain our roads and security in our city. What happens at the federal level is they're so deep in debt, 26 trillion with a T, trillion. And when there's a problem such as COVID and they want to pass these $2, $3, $4, $5 trillion bailout packages, the money's not there. We're just in such deep debt. It's not there. So they have to actually manufacture the money. They actually print them. They don't even print it anymore. They just send numbers from the Fed to the Treasury. And what's going to happen is there's going to be so many dollars into our system that inflation is going to take off, and the dollar at some point is going to become worthless. And we're putting a lot of burden on my children and grandchildren to pay that money back. So what I want to bring to Congress is a sense of fiscal responsibility. I will not vote for these crazy, wild packages that sends out, like my son. He's doing very well, and they sent him a $1,200 check. And he goes, "Dad, why did they send me a $1,200 check? The country's in debt." And so I would like to bring that to the table as a fiscal conservative. And also my life, as we've talked about, I'm 67, so I have 67 years life experiences. A lot of these congressmen and women are young in their 30s and 40s, and I'd like to bring kind of the fatherly view on, You need to get your work in order. And I know it's a swamp. I can wallow my way through it. And I'm not going to be doing this for 20, 30 years. I'm going to do it for a few terms, do as best as I can and get out of there and let someone else do it. I don't believe in these career politicians. I like to put together a convention of states that get some type of term limits for our senators, maybe 2 6-year terms or 6 2-year terms for Congress or House of Representatives. 12 years is plenty. Get in there and get out. I worked in Washington. I've worked at the Pentagon. I've worked with the State Department. I worked with Congress. And I can tell you, you need to get in there, do your job, and get the heck out of there because it can swallow you up and it will spit you right out.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Now, what are the problems that you see that are being faced in the California's 45th Congressional District? What do you see economically, or what other things are you seeing there that need help to move into a new direction?
What we're seeing in the 45th District, which is includes 10 cities, the largest being Irvine, followed by Mission Viejo, Lake Forest, and Rancho Santa Margarita and Tustin are the major cities. We're finding the cost of living here is very, very expensive. And the taxes are very, very high, both state and federal and local taxes. So we got to ensure at the federal level, what I can do is everything in my power to reduce the tax burden on the citizens so they have money for rent, they have money for house payments and pay their utilities and send their kids to school properly dressed and fed. So I would work on that area, but I also would work on the healthcare issue. The veterans are taken care of with the VA system. It's the best I've seen it. We have Medicare, which I'm actually on now, and it's doing very well, but it does need to be tweaked a little bit to ensure that it's there for the younger group coming up. Medicaid is available for the disadvantaged. But there's that segment from age 26 to 65, and you're working for a company that does not provide health care, that you have to go out and buy health care. And it can be up to $1,300, $1,400 a month, and that's just way too expensive.
Yes.
Now, Obamacare took a lot of hits. You can keep your doctor, you're going to get reduced by $2,500 a year. That never happened. So I believe we can work on a healthcare bill or a program, not just some big old bill for everybody, but kind of tweak Medicare, tweak Medicaid, work with the VA, but also work with the insurance companies so they can compete across state lines. We get the price of prescription drugs down, and I can work with the administration, and I can work with other congressmen in that area.
Yes. I know what I always think about. I think about the rates, the insurance premiums, for these health insurance policies. I believe some of it should be income related, like income generated, because not everybody makes $100,000 a year or more. Some average people might be able to pay a premium, say $150 a month, but if you want them to just generally overall pay all the same premiums, to me that's not fair, because if you're making $200,000 a year and I'm making $50,000, I'm not going to be able to afford the same premium you can afford, but I also will not be able to get the same type of care. So I think something needs to be done about that, because, and I don't think it should be done based on, whether you're wealthy, charge them more. I'm saying overall, there should be some restrictions placed on the premiums and deductibles and things like that, so they can keep it down for all Americans, not just the poor or the wealthy. Anyway, let me move on. I am very upset about something in California, and I'm sure you may be a little upset about it as well. I don't know where it's going right now, but I do know that the American Center for Law and Justice with Jay Sekulow has been fighting against this thing where California Governor Newsom placed a restriction on the churches there. I don't know if they passed through this a bit yet, but maybe you could tell us a little more about that. Are they still restricting worship in churches there?
Well, Governor Newsom, I do agree with our president giving the states the responsibility of how they're going to handle COVID, because something in South Dakota is totally different than in Georgia. But yeah. California is so large that one man is trying to control everything. And I believe he should delegate that down to the counties, and the counties to the cities, because we know what's going on in our county. We know what's going on in Mission Viejo, and up there in Sacramento where Newsom is, he doesn't understand it. Orange County has 3.3 million people. And right now, this day, there's 27 people in the hospital in intensive care with COVID, 27 out of 3.3 million. So, but still we're restricted on what we can, where we can go, how many people can attend church. I think it's now 25% of the capacity, but no more than 100. But there's some counties where you can't go. Now, Orange County is different because we're not as bad as, say, LA County or something. But we have learned since March how to handle COVID. We know how to put on a mask and sit in church, 6 feet away from somebody you don't know. Obviously, you want to keep your families together that you live with. And this governor is just, he's been dictatorial. He just, it's sad what he's doing. And yes, I actually personally sued the governor back in April when he shut down all our beaches, because why can't you lay on a beach, with an umbrella with your family?
Yeah, I remember that suit. I remember that too.
Yeah, I lost that suit because the judge says, well, let's wait a little bit. But anyways, the beaches are starting to open up again.
Yeah, and I noticed they had a movement going on. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was having church outside. And I never saw the problem with church outside because I'm a pastor. When this whole thing first started, I took my service outside. I'm like, why are you going to restrict me being outside? I got my people spaced, and you restricted me from having service. So it's been a big mess, and I believe it's a constitutional right. And I believe also that we cannot restrict people's religious freedoms according to the Constitution.
Agreed.
Okay, I want to take a short break right now. You're watching The Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert, and we're interviewing future Congressman Greg Raths. We'll be right back with you in a moment.
To every single mother, every small business owner, every farmer, every cancer survivor, and every woman out there who has ever been put down by the establishment, it's time to stand up. On November 3rd, we need you to write in Ola Hawatma on the ballot under New York 19th Congressional. Make history in the New York 19th District with the first woman to win by a write-in. Don't just vote. Make history on November 3rd, 2020. Write in Ola Hawatma.
You'll never get anywhere if you don't take the first step. I'm Ola Hawatma. I'm a fashion designer and entrepreneur. I'm the daughter of Christian immigrants from Jordan, and I'm a mom of 3 boys. But I faced challenges along the way. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, but that led me to create charity fashion shows, helping women harmed by abuse. I beat cancer twice and now run a fashion week to benefit cancer survivors and find a cure. Sometimes it's tempting to let yourself stop and become a victim, but I turn those hard times into a runway to start something great. Today, America faces tough problems, and as an outsider with conservative values, I'm stepping forward to fix them. Liberals want to stop our progress and send our country in the wrong direction. But we're on a runway to make America great, and we're not going back.
A Joe Biden jamás le importó Puerto Rico. Biden nos quitó la 936 y envió nuestros trabajos para China con quien guisa su hijo talentoso. Y ahora nos quiere hacer lo mismo aquí. Aumentos de impuestos y mano floja con el crimen. Trump está limpiando el reguero de Biden mientras devuelve las farmacéuticas a la isla y alza la economía. Estamos aquí para echar pa'lante. Y Joe Biden es la incompetencia que dejamos atrás.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
This president deserves the support of the Black community because he's earned it.
There is a silent majority of us that see you, see what you're doing, see what you did for HBCU schools. That was actually the deal for us.
I wager to say that there is no American president since Lincoln that has had the impact for Black America that President Trump has had.
Joe Biden supported the crime bill in '94.
He has imprisoned Black America, basically.
Trump supported the NAACP and Black youth like myself in '87.
He's a businessman. He's bringing businesses back into America.
Bringing jobs back to America. Bringing the truth back
and he's stopping needless wars.
My day is going to be like amazing. I'm never going to forget this day. This day is historic.
In 2016, I made you a solemn pledge. I would be your greatest champion. In the first 3 years, we achieved the lowest black unemployment rate in history. We achieved the largest job gains for African Americans on record. The poverty rate for African Americans reached the lowest level ever recorded. I did more for the black community in 47 months than Joe Biden did in 47 years.
We cannot deny that that man has done everything that he has set out to do in record-breaking time. Can we say 3 years? Can we say 3 years?
We will create 3 million new jobs for the black community, open 500,000 new black-owned businesses, bring even greater fairness to the justice system. We did criminal justice reform.
I want to thank President Donald John Trump.
Create a ladder of opportunity for African American children by delivering school choice to every parent in America. Together we made unbelievable progress and achieved once unimaginable success. And with your support, your vote, and your voice, the best is yet to come.
You can expect us to come out in droves in your support. For absolute certainty. That's a certainty.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, we're interviewing, as I said earlier, retired Marine Colonel Greg Raths. Now, I had a friend of mine. I was under a pastor for a number of years, and he said Marines really don't retire. It's like once a Marine, always a Marine, and there's really no retirement. You're still a Marine. A lot of other people retire, but you're still a Marine because they embedded in your character. Anyway, so last of all, I want to ask you this question. Now, I ask this to every candidate that I bring on my program. And I just want to ask you this one last question, and then we're going to go ahead and let you go. But what makes you the best person to go forward as a representative for California's 45th Congressional District if and when you are elected to office?
Well, that's a great question. I arrived in this district in 1977 as a young first lieutenant, and I've been a homeowner for 42 years. I know the district, I know the people. There is a master jet base called El Toro Air Base, Marine Corps Air Base El Toro. It was the home of the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, where I was based for over 20 years. There is a huge base in Tustin, which is part of the 45th District, is a large helicopter base with a Marine Helicopter Air Group over there that had 4,000 Marines and their families and sailors, and El Toro had over 5,000. I know the area, I know the people. My competitor, who's a current congresswoman, has been here at less than 10 years. She came from Iowa. She's a college professor at a very liberal school called UCI, University of California, Irvine.
Yeah, I know.
And she just doesn't fit the mold. This district, with the 10 cities in this district, all 10 cities are run by Republican mayors and Republican councils. We have 2 state senators. They're both Republican. Both supervisors, Orange County supervisors, Republican, and both assembly members are Republican. It's very conservative. It has been slowly turning more and more purple. But in California, they had a thing they passed called ballot harvesting in 2016. The Democratic Assembly and Senate passed it, where in 2018, they actually harvested ballots. They went from door to door, took their ballots, helped them fill it out, went to nursing homes, went to all these other locations, gathered 100,000 ballots, dropped them off on the evening of the election. They weren't verified. And the lady who was a sitting congresswoman, her name was Mimi Waters. This district has never, ever been a Democrat. She was up by 12,000 votes election night. She wins. She's excited. Her 3rd term. And within 7 days after they counted all these harvested ballots, she ended up losing by a few thousand votes. So It's something that is not right. It's only state in a union that believes in that passed ballot harvesting, where I believe you should go to the polls, show an ID, get your ballot, go behind a curtain, bring it back, and that's the way it should be done. This mail-in ballot, in fact, yesterday we got our mail-in ballots here in California. There's 2 people that live in my house. We got 3 ballots, my wife, myself, and some guy I've never heard of. So I'm not comfortable with that. So it's not good. This mail-in ballot's not good. But to answer your question, I know the district. I'm very conservative. I'm pro-life. I believe in adoption clinics, not abortion clinics. I'm pro-Second Amendment. The right to bear arms should not be infringed. And I'm a strict fiscal hawk, and that's what I believe I can do. Our current congresswoman just voted on a $3 trillion package where, like I said earlier, the money's just not there, and it's going to be put on the shoulders and the backs of my son and my daughters and their kids.
Yes, I understand exactly what you're saying. I have a friend that we interviewed on here. Her name is Ola Hawatma, and she was in the 19th district in New York State there, and they did that thing with the ballot harvesting or whatever, and they held up the ballot so long that she won the election. She's a Republican. She won the election, but it was too late. They had already passed it, won everything, and they found out later on that she won. So right now, she's a write-in candidate for that district. Well, Greg, I really appreciate you joining us here. I want to thank you for your service once again, and thank you for sharing your heart of what's going on in California's 45th Congressional District. And I want to urge the people of California and the 45th District to get out and vote this November for Greg Raths for the Republican for the House in your area there, the 45th District. Get out and vote for him. We want to vote Republican in November so that we can get this country moving forward instead of holding it back. So once again, I want to thank you, Greg, for joining us. And we thank you all out there for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice.
Do you care about Black lives? I do. And unlike the people that currently run Baltimore, I actually have a plan to make life better for Black people here. Walk with me. I want you to see this. I'm Kim Klasick. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This city was once among the most prosperous, populated, and powerful cities in America. So what happened? Our leaders abandoned us and Baltimore fell into ruin. But it doesn't have to be this way. None of this has to be this way. A broken Baltimore does not have to be our future. And that's why I'm running for Congress, because I see the city differently. I walk the streets of Baltimore and see what could be. I want you to see what I see. I see Baltimore that picks up trash. There are piles of garbage all around Baltimore. It makes life unsafe for our families. I'll work with city leaders to get Baltimore's Solid Waste Bureau the resources it needs to take out the trash. Our streets should be a reflection of our leaders. Clean, not dirty. Much of our trash gathers in abandoned homes. There are over 17,000 abandoned buildings in Baltimore. They are a scar on the face of our city. I will support tax credits and incentive programs to give residents a chance to buy and rehabilitate these homes. Everyone deserves a safe community and a chance at home ownership. Let's put the charm back in Charm City. Who will live in these homes? The newly employed constituents of Baltimore City. This district needs more jobs. The best way to get them is by having businesses invest in our community. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act gives federal tax incentive to drive private investment into opportunity zones just like Baltimore. Who will work in all of these new jobs if we don't have an educated workforce? 9 out of 10 Black boys in Baltimore are not reading at grade level. Over a dozen high schools in Baltimore have zero, yes, zero, students proficient in math. This is a tragedy. We can end the school-to-prison pipeline with school choice, providing parents with options to escape schools that do not serve our children. Let's leave Baltimore better for our kids. Isn't that the point? That's my vision for Baltimore. The corrupt leaders hate it. They attack me for taking a stand, for wanting better for our people, our children, our communities. But I'm not the only one who wants better. Tens of millions of you have shared the struggle of Black people in Baltimore. You lifted our voices. You cared about our Black lives more than our own Democrat leaders. They have done nothing for us. Now they can't hide. It's time for change. We are that change. I'm Kim Klacik, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about Black lives. All Black lives matter. Our communities matter. We matter. And Baltimore doesn't have to vote Democrat.